Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this particular video, I want us to talk about one of the most common questions that I get whenever a client wants to assign me a project is whether I'm going to use a no-code platform, whether I'm going to use a CMS, or whether I'm going to customary develop it. So in this particular video, I want us to sum up all those questions and answer the question: when should you use a no-code platform, when it's relevant to use a CMS, and when you should customary develop a project. So no-code platforms are platforms that help you create a website or a web application without writing any single piece of or any line of code. And these platforms, for example, include platforms like Shopify, Webflow. We also have Wix. We also have WordPress.com. We also have Squarespace. There are dozens of them out there. So these platforms are relevant in today's age because they are very useful, because they are very easy to use. That is one. And another reason is they don't like give you a lot of control that you don't necessarily need. For example, most clients who I have handled do not have an in-house team of developers, yeah, and they don't even want to have one. So for such a case, there's no need of any using any other technology. You can just go to a no-code platform and develop the web application or the website using the no-code platform. Let me give you an example. For example, a customer who has a retail shop or a retail store. Let me rephrase that. A person who sells maybe clothes, yeah, fashion designer clothes, and they have a physical store, but they also now want to explore um, the online marketplaces, or they want to have to be able to sell online. One of the most suitable recommendation for them at such a point is using a no-code platform. Why? Because by then they are not going to have to hire someone else to come in who is going now to be taking care of the technology, because essentially no-code platforms are very easy to maintain. And the other reason why most people find or why I recommend a no-code platform to a client, it's because it's very easy to deploy your web application or your website using a no-code platform. That way, they don't have to wait for a month or two before they launch their product. So to use a no-code platform, all you need to do is to choose the platform that you want to use. For example, it can be Shopify, it can be Squarespace, or whichever platform that you choose. All you need, depending on your specific needs. Because, for example, if it's just a basic portfolio website, you don't need to go now to Shopify. Shopify is more of a POS, something to help you sell online. So, depending on your specific needs, choose a platform, and then once you choose a platform, you're going to have to pay for it, and then you can start customizing, and within maybe a week, you can launch your product. Some of the challenges that you should expect to face when or some of the limitations of a no-code platform is, one of them is control. If you need more control of your platform, you'll have to not use a no-code platform, because no-code platform essentially takes care of some of the things that you don't need. For example, the example I gave earlier, such a client doesn't need to like know the underlying code. Yeah. So there's essentially no need for you to expose them to such technologies. Another challenge is on scalability. if you are seeing this project maybe in a year or two being a huge project, going for no code platform wouldn't be essentially be the late idea because of the limitations that I mentioned earlier. There are dozen other limitations like some features are hidden behind a paywall. For example, you have to pay to access certain features, and which is kind of not good because maybe at some point you're going to have to need those features, right? And maybe the other major limitation or challenge is when it comes to migration. Migration when using a no-code platform is hard. You can only like migrate with your inventory, but you can't migrate with the technology that is underlying because you essentially don't own the technology. You have all you have been doing is paying for it monthly or weekly or depending on how they charge their subscription. The second category of um, what I want us to talk about today is CMSs. CMSs is essentially content management systems, and they are very important when you are managing content. For example, if you run a blog, if you run an e-commerce store, they are very essential in managing such content. And they started way back in early 90s, but they were mainly popularized in the early 2000s, especially when it comes to Drupal and WordPress. And WordPress right now is one of the most popular CMS, and it's essentially used by almost 50%, around 45% of all websites use WordPress. So I recommend when a client comes and all they want to have is a portfolio website or a blog where they're going to be running a blog, I recommend to them to use a CMS, or I recommend to them building the platform using a CMS. Why? Because for such a client, and it's especially if they don't have or they don't plan to having all an in-house team, yeah, all they need is some changes here and there once a month or once in a year or so. I recommend to them using a CMS. And the good thing about a CMS, it's like it's a bridge between custom development and a no-code platform because it kind of gives you some control. Well, it takes some away. And some of the benefits of using a CMS platform is CMS platforms are very SEO friendly. Yeah? If you're hoping to leverage on SEO or creating a digital footprint where people can actually see you, or you hope to benefit a lot from SEO, CMS is the best choice. And of course, there are other problems that comes with CMSs. One of them is maybe security because you essentially need to always update your plugins, or depending on the platform that you're using, but you'll essentially need to always update your plugins. Another thing is maybe if they're not planning to have an in-house team, it has a small learning curve because for example, publishing a blog, you'll have to show them how to publish a blog. But the good thing about that is the community around these CMS systems is really huge, so there is no at some point that you're going to struggle because you can always find help online. That is a good benefit, or the benefit of a CMS. And maybe this is the best time that I should do a little bit of marketing of my service. If you want to create a WordPress website, you can always check my website, karimakos.co.ke. We are offering basic WordPress development, and all our packages are starting from 20,000. So if you would want to create a WordPress website, make sure to hit me up and we can figure things out. Maybe one of the things that I should probably talk about when it comes to CMS is on how to implement. All you need to do is just to choose your domain system and then buy a hosting, and ensure that the hosting that you're buying offers the CMS installation that you choose um, as an option. Yeah. So all you need to do is just set it up and then customize, and then you can launch your website or web platform. Of course, there is some nitty-gritty processes that are going to be involved around there, especially the more complex you want your project to be, the more the processes, but that is basically the entire process. The challenges of such a platform or using a CMS is, of course, control, because essentially you are building on top of other technologies. Yeah. And over time you may end up having a very slow website, especially if you want a very complex website or web application, uh, and then you opt to use a CMS, and that is where development comes in. Custom development is for specific people who have very specific features that cannot or are not best implemented using a CMS. And for very specific features, I would never recommend to my client on using a CMS. I recommend to them on developing the platform customly. And here is why. If you use a CMS and you have very specific features, you're going to end up installing a lot of plugins. Yeah. And then the more the number of plugins that you install, the slower your website is going to be, because essentially you are going to have very huge stacks of code that you are not going to be using in the long term. Yeah. Which is going to definitely affect your website when it comes to SEO, user experience, and all other stuffs, and all other aspects. So the most important thing is, if you have very specific, for example, if a client comes to me and they want to build, for example, a marketplace, but when I listen to the features that they are very, very, very specific. I recommend to them on using or on developing the platform customly. And custom development, of course, comes with its fair share of challenges. And one of the challenge is when it comes to expenses. They are very expensive, um, especially the more complex it is, the more expensive it's going to be, because you'll need to have a pool of developers who can help you on launching such a platform. And the challenge comes in when for example, you want to launch fast, because with the custom development, you shouldn't be like lashing up the project, because um, there are a lot of processes that are involved. For example, you have to start from the design. You have to, if the client is so much involved in that, they have to settle on which technologies they want to use, maybe based on like a forecast or for planning of where they want to be in future. Yeah? And then after choosing the technologies, you also have to choose the specific frameworks, if at all you want to use frameworks. And then you can now buy the hosting and then a server. I recommend you going for DigitalOcean, Crowdways, or Crowdways if you don't want to have the nitty gritties of managing the server, and then or maybe AWS. Microsoft Azure is also a good recommendation. And also, this is another part where I should market my services. If you are looking to develop a custom web application that has very specific features, um, we also offer that as a service, and our packages start from Kenya shillings 7,000. That is around 700 USD. Um, and then, so what we do is we're going to have a conversation, discuss your features, and then we can come with a package. But packages start from 700 or 700 USD or 70,000 um, Kenya shillings. The benefits of making a custom development, of course, you get a lot of full control. There is also return on investment. When you're making the platform customly, the return on investment is very high, especially because you control everything. If you decide to change a specific feature, you can change it by tomorrow, and then that probably is going to increase your return on investment, and you can make more sales. Of course, there are a lot of challenges, especially on the budget, because some clients want very specific features, but they don't have the budget, which is kind of a hindrance. The other thing is expertise. For example, it's very hard, not essentially hard, but it's hard to find good developers who are going to implement as what you have in mind. So there always needs this kind of a structure on managing the flow of how you want your tasks done. Which are the decision factors? So I want us now to talk about the decision factors. Which question should you answer when setting or to decide or to know whether the platform that you want should be built using a no code or a CMS or a custom development? Some of the factors that should help you decide on whether you want the platform built customly or using a CMS or a no code platform is one, your budget. If you have an extensive budget and very specific, well, if you have a custom, if you have a good budget, the platform can be built using custom development. Another thing is if you have very specific features or functionalities. If you have very specific features and functionalities, the platform should be custom development. But if they are the normal features and kind of generic, you should definitely go for a no-code platform or a CMS. Another thing is the long-term goals of the project. If you see this project scaling to a more specific niche, you should go for custom development, because essentially you'll want to have control over everything, yeah, and therefore there's no need of starting. Yes, you can start with a CMS maybe to test out the idea, but over time you'll need to kind of niche down or move to or migrate to custom development. And that is basically it. I don't think availability of technical expertise is a huge deal, especially because it's very easy, of course, nowadays to find good developers. Yeah. So I don't think availability of technical expertise is a huge problem. So I hope this video is going to end the wars out there where people or some developers are actually they actually feel threatened when someone develops a platform using a custom or a CMS. Yeah, each of the choices is important. It all depends on what are you developing. Yeah, if what you are developing can be implemented with using a no-code platform, and that is going to be beneficial to your clients, there's no need of making that customary. Yeah, you're going to be kind of inventing the wheel, and again you're going now to transfer that problem now to the client, because now they'll have to handle the maintenance fee. They have a very steep learning curve, and that is not important. So I hope the war is going to end out there, because there's no rush on which specific platform you can use. I use no code platforms, I use CMSs, and I do custom development. It all depends on who is the client, what is their long term goals, what kind of product that they want, and how is it going to be beneficial to you and to them. If they want to launch fast and they all have these other factors, there's a specific platform for them. So that's it for this video. I don't want to keep talking, because I'm going to essentially keep repeating myself. I hope you've captured something from this specific video, and if it did actually help you, please consider liking it or subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next one.